Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on a hot take, and we're talking about the Bikers for Trump, and this is their Facebook page. Excuse me, and they've put out a statement on the page. Now I assume this page speaks for the Bikers for Trump, but I don't know if that's true. It's just the internet. It's just Facebook. But let's read the statement with regards to them going into Seattle into the CHAZ. And this was posted 17 hours ago. Bikers for Trump 2020. I honestly fear, with all the fake news postings, that we are riding to Seattle, Washington. Bikers for Trump as an organization is being set up by the far left Democrats to make us look as the aggressors and are trying to show we are going against our president. This all being done to try to get us taken offline. If anything happens anywhere, fingers will get pointed at us for being part of it. Just like the wrap up smear Pelosi campaign on video a few years ago. We don't have a call to action to any city, but if asked, we will do what we can as a support unit, not as a security force unit. Bikers for Trump, the largest pro-Trump influence on the internet. I don't know if that's true. Donald.win, I think, would probably be bigger. With over 340,000 followers, which makes us a priority target for all those opposed to President Trump. Well, that much is true. I mean, this is a large organization, let's be honest. I do think that Donald.win probably has more followers, but I'm not sure of their numbers. So you might be true. It might be true that you're the largest. Please understand we are tired of all that the Democrats are orchestrating in their Democrat cities and states, but we have got to be a positive force for our president and not a negative one. Good. I support that. We are not responsible for what individual Bikers for Trump members do in their own states. Well, yeah, I guess that would make sense. So it doesn't look like the Bikers versus Antifa thing is going to happen or was ever going to happen, really. Maybe this was all just a rumor sparked by the initial story that I read, or that I didn't really read it. I sort of talked about it. Now, maybe that was all just internet nothing. Maybe that was based on an old video that happened a few years ago, and then somebody thought, oh, this must have happened now. Because journalism these days, especially on the internet, is very, very tenuous. You got to be very careful what you believe and what you read, even if it's something that you read and go, wow, that's amazing, and I so wish that to be true. You know what I mean? It's like you got to be careful. Like, just because you want it to be true doesn't necessarily mean it is true. And, he makes a salient point here. If these bikers or any bikers go up to the CHAZ, they'll be portrayed as the guys who messed it all up. And the people who started this mess will evade responsibility. So, yeah, as much as it would be a sweet video seeing those bikers stomp reality into Antifa, it's also true. I don't really want anybody to get hurt. I don't want these college kids to get hurt. Not really. I would like to see them confront reality. I would like to see that, and this would be an avenue towards that. But maybe it is better that we allow them to just wallow in the mess they've made until they finally get the message that, civilization requires cooperation, requires effort, requires work, and their political ideology is completely untenable and insane, and no one, is really on board with it. There are people, YouTubers on the internet, saying that they should cut off the water and electricity to the area. I disagree. There are innocent people trapped in that zone, people with businesses and apartments that they just happen to be living there, and they're not at fault. They didn't ask for this. Some of them are hiring private security firms to you know, protect their businesses and apartment buildings or whatever. So I think that would not be a way to go. I think a lot of those people will move. You know, if you have an apartment and your lease is up, oh, I'd be right out of there. I'd be right out of there. Now maybe it's not convenient now. Maybe they got to wait a few weeks or months, but certainly people might be like, let me look around, see if there's another place in the city I could get. And it's already being reported by Razor Fist that people are starting to put their houses up for sale in Seattle because they see this as another Minneapolis. They're going to defund the police or abolish the police, and the whole city's just going to crumble. Part of the reason this is all happening is I think, at least in America, cities are not, they're becoming a thing of the past. Because think about what cities used to be. Cities used to be a place where jobs happened, right? They were convenient locations for trade, importing and exporting, and there were factories. They weren't in the city, but they were nearby, and this is how these cities sprung up. Well, now all the factories are gone in America. They've been outsourced, and even if they bring them back, they won't put them in a city. They'll put them outside the city, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you know the cultural things, the writing and plays and music and all that stuff. You don't need cities anymore for that. You used to, because it used to be you had to get people together to, like, physically, in order for those things to happen, in order for those things to coalesce. Now you don't need that. In the town of Hamilton, New Jersey, which is it's a town, it's not a city. They have 2 live theaters. That's pretty cultural for a town. They have a wine bar. I mean, they have a nice scene down there. So you don't have to go all the way to New York for a play. You can go to Hamilton. It's a hell of a lot cheaper, and then afterwards you can go to Royal Crown and get some amazing ice cream. So, cities may have outlived their usefulness here. And, a guy like me, as a freelance writer, I can work anywhere. I don't have to be here. I could work out in the middle of nowhere, some field, as long as I, well, not a field, but, a house in a field. As long as I got electricity and internet connection, I'm good. I'm connected to the world. I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey anyway. I'm in a little town. That's not in the middle of nowhere. It's suburbia. And it's nice. It's a good balance, I got stores, but I don't have too many stores, There are people here, but there are not too many people here. That's the kind of balance I think is best, unless you like, big open fields and like to mow a lot of grass. So maybe it's just that cities are done, and this is the death throes of them. And the people who have been sort of coddled by the city life, are now experiencing reality, and they don't like it, and these CHAZ people, they could have taken over a ranch out in the middle of nowhere, and no one even would have reported on what they were doing, right? As long as they bought the property, or if it was abandoned. They could have built this out in the middle of the woods. It probably would have degenerated just like it's doing, but, not too many people. Yeah, see? Jones suggesting the same thing. All right. I'm almost done the video. Let me wrap up here, okay? You hear a doggy, I know. So, Bikers for Trump. I applaud this move, and I think you're probably right. You probably would be portrayed as the aggressors, as the media just continues to lie, continues to bark like a little dog, and in Wokistan we portray this like, no matter what people try to do on campus to tell the truth of what's happening on campus, the media sticks with its narrative, because it sells them, well, not newspapers, but clicks. It's all about the clicks these days. It's all about getting money. And the narrative is preferable to anything. You know, truth doesn't matter. Only the narrative matters. Right, doggy? Yes. Now she's being calm because I'm petting her. The moment I let go, she'll start barking at that other doggy. So, bikers for Trump. Yeah, maybe it's a better idea you don't go. Maybe it's, you know, a better idea the Hell's Angels don't go, and the Mongols. As hilarious as that would be, because then all those leftists will say, well, you know, the CHAZ was perfect until the bikers showed up, and then they ruined it all. And the media will support them in that narrative because they desperately want this hippie bullshit to work. And it's not really hippie bullshit. When you embrace violence, you're not a hippie. So, you know, just so I'm clearing the air here, I'm not bashing hippies. And by the way, I made a comment about right-wing militias. I didn't mean to imply that they're all racist. There are a handful of these right-wing militias. Some of them, a very tiny minority, are racist. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. Some of you are like, hey, you know, I'm in a right-wing militia and it's not racist. Like, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to imply that. That wasn't my intent. I was talking about how the opposite of the extreme, and right-wing militias aren't necessarily extreme. They're usually just sort of gun clubs with a little more, you know, gumption. The what I'm talking about is the opposite end of Antifa. There's Antifa, they're at the extreme left, and then there's the sort of racist right-wing militias. Again, very few. They're on the opposite end of the extremes. Yeah, so let this just disintegrate. Let these people in the CHAZ, you know, get to the point where they got no food, although people are giving them food. Let them get to the point where they have to beg the cops to come back. And they will. I mean, there's been all sorts of reports. There's a guy running around with a machete. They had to take care of him. There was another guy with a chainsaw. Obviously, these kids don't know what they're doing. There's been reports that all sorts of sexual assaults have happened, and the cops are still answering calls to the area. They just can't get to them quickly. And, you know, after a few months of that, and when the winter comes, what are these people going to do? I think they're just going to abandon the whole area, and they're just going to go, this sucks now. So let sleeping dogs lie, I say, or lie in their own poop. Right, Joan? Right, Joan?